Hello, everyone. My name is Clifford Chukwemeka Iruanya, and I come from Aro Ndionyemobi. Aro Ndionyemobi is a community in the Olu province of the old eastern region of the Lugadian experiment called Nigeria. I am reaching you from Houston, Texas, the United States of America, on this 7th day of May 2022. And I'm here with a presentation I titled, it's a long one, so I'm going to read it off my paper. I titled it, The Final Appeal to Middle Belt and Southern Nigeria to Halt Preparations towards the 2023 general elections and insist on putting a transitioning body in place to organize regional referendums for a stay or leave the union vote. I know it's a long one, so I have to repeat it. I'll say it the second time. My topic today is the final appeal to Middle Belt and Southern Nigeria to halt all preparations towards the 2023 general election and insist on putting a transitioning body in place to organize regional referendums for a stay or leave the union vote. Let me start with this question. Why is it hard or difficult for those of us in the Middle Belt and Southern Nigeria to understand that this document is the problem? This so-called constitution, a fraud. This is the problem we have that is preventing us from having our freedom, security, and development. This is so-called constitution. By the way, why is it difficult for us to understand that constitution is a union agreement? It is something that is agreed by the federating union. The question is, this constitution, was it agreed by all? And talking about this constitution, don't we understand that constitution is above any other thing in a given country, apart from the creator God? Constitution is above everything. It is the constitution that determines whether you have the freedom to worship the way you want. It is the constitution that determines that. The constitution determines your freedom of speech. It is the constitution that determines your choice to own and work your own natural resources. It is also the constitution that determines the pace of development. In fact, the main one is that it is the constitution that determines the politics in a country. It is not the other way around. The politics does not determine the constitution. It is the constitution that dictates the type of politics we have in a given country. The constitution is a document that is made by the citizen and approved by the citizen through a referendum or a vote. And that is why you see any country where the constitution is not properly made and approved by the citizen, what that country practices is what is called democracy. Demon and craziness combined. Like, for example, Nigeria. Nigeria is not practicing democracy. What Nigeria is practicing is democracy or crazy demonstration. Why? Because we have a fraudulent constitution. Let me say this. To start with, the citizens of the country, they come together and make the constitution. The constitution, inside the constitution, you now have the type of politics, the type of government, the tenure, and everything in that politics, in that constitution. It is from the approved constitution that you have guidelines in playing politics. It is not the politics that is putting the guideline for the constitution. No. The constitution stipulates the guideline for politics. Now, the politicians will now go into playing politics, going for elective posts, electioneering campaign, and becoming president, governors, National Assembly, and all that, using the guideline as stated in the Constitution. I hope you are following me now. First, you have the Constitution. In the Constitution, you have the politics, and then you have the politician playing the politics as dictated and directed by the Constitution. Now, the question I ask again, why is it difficult for, we in the Middle Belt and Southern Nigeria to understand that the so-called 1999 Constitution is a problem? I am not a lawyer, but this document is written in English, and it's very simple. It has three segments rather. The first segment is the preamble, and then you have the main sections, and then the third segment is the what they call the schedule. The schedule is where you have details of some of the items mentioned in the sections. The section itself has there are 320 sections in this document. And those 320 sections are divided into chapters. There are 8 chapters. It's very simple to read. And so, when you talk about this document, to start with, the document lied in the preamble. If you can zoom and see what is called the preamble here, you can see it here. The preamble is a lie. It says a lie that we, the people of Nigeria, that means the Ogoni, the Igbo, the Efik, the Anang, the Bibio, the Hausa, the Fulani, the Beram, the Robo, the Shekiri, that we all agreed to enact, and to give ourselves this document. So the question I'm asking now, when did we make this? When did we agree, and where to make this constitution? Where and when? That is number one. The other thing is that the document itself lied from the going beyond the preamble now. It lied in the very second section, section 2, subsection 1. It lied that Nigeria is a federation under this constitution, which is a big lie. A federation is a union of constitutions. That means you have the federating unit with their different constitutions coming together to form a federation. This is a unitary constitution. By the time we had our independence in 1960, there were 3 constitutions. The one for the North, the one for the West, and the one for the East. Then after a referendum in 1963, there was a 4th constitution. So all in all, we now have 5 constitutions in 1963. But in 1960, we had 4 constitutions. That means 3 for the regions and 1 for the federal. But what do we have now? 1. And you're saying it's a federation. So there is a lie, a big lie on section 2, subsection 1 of this constitution. Now, the biggest one of them all is section 3. Section 3. Section 3 of this constitution is saying that we all agreed to creation of 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The question is, when did we agree to have 36 states? By the time we were going into the independence, what we had were 3 regions. And in 1963, by virtue of the referendum that was conducted, there was a 4th region, the Midwest region. And that was toppled. And since then till now, there has never been any agreement by the citizens. Remember, it started with we the people. But there was never a time we the people created 36 states. So section 3 is another big lie. Now, let me even shock you more. With that section 3, let me make it very clear that if you are from the southern part of Nigeria, you are permanently a political minority by virtue of Section 3. By virtue of Section 3, just know it now that nobody will ever become president of Nigeria from the southern part of Nigeria. Nobody can be president except if such a person from the southern part is a puppet of the northern part of Nigeria. In other words, it is the north that determines who becomes the president. Why? Because in section 134, subsection 2 of this fraudulent document, that is where the condition for winning a presidential election is. And that section 134, subsection 2, is relying on section 3. You see what I mean now? Now, the other thing is that section 8 of this constitution is what deals with creation of states. If you want an additional state to be created, it is stated in section 8. But in that section 8, it is relying again on section 3. You cannot create additional state except you go through section 3. You still getting the idea? The other thing is that the section 9 is the section that has to do with amendment. You cannot amend any part of that constitution until you fulfill the requirement that is dependent on section 3. Section 9 is 100% dependent on section 3. So amending the constitution is dependent on section 3 of this constitution. The other thing I want to make it very clear is when it comes to appointment by the president, it is dependent on section 3. Why do I say so? The president nominates and sends to the National Assembly for approval. The National Assembly, as it is stated in section 48 and 49 of the Constitution, is dependent on section 3, which makes the South a permanent minority. Now, let us go further. That if the president decides to go on his way to make appointment the way he wants or allocate things the way he wants, he will be subject to impeachment proceedings by the part of the country that don't like it. That is why the current president of Nigeria can do anything he wants, because whatever he does, it will go to the National Assembly. And the National Assembly passing or not passing it will be dependent on section 3 of this very fraudulent document. So I hope we are getting it now. The other thing is that when our founding fathers had their meeting in Lancaster between 1957 and 1959, they agreed on secularity of Nigeria. Even the framers of this fraudulent constitution tried to play a fast one by putting that secularity in section 10. But that section 10 is nullified by section 260 to section 264. 5 solid sections exclusively dedicated to Islam. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying is that the secularity of Nigeria is nullified in this document by section 260 to section 264. Now, let me give you some news that you don't want to hear. Something that will make you feel angry. And what is that? As long as this constitution is in existence, let me make it very clear. As long as this constitution is in existence, there will never be anything like Biafra. You may not like it. You may sweep it under the carpet. You may say, I'm talking bad, but this constitution in section 2, subsection 1, says that Nigeria shall be indissoluble and indivisible. For you to have Biafra, this constitution must go down. If you really want Biafra, this constitution must go down. The same thing for the Oduduwa. If you are looking for Oduduwa nation, you can never have it with this constitution in existence. If you are looking for the Middle Belt nation, this constitution is blocking you. You cannot have it. If you are an Ijaw and you're looking for Ijaw nation, you will never have it as long as this constitution is in existence. The same thing goes for resource control. You can never own your resources in your country, in your part, as long as this constitution is in place, because section 4, subsection 2 makes it impossible for you to own your resources. And of course, schedule 2, part 1. The other thing I want to let you know is that for those of you who are clamoring, oh, regional autonomy, you cannot have regional autonomy under this constitution. By the way, I want any lawyer to challenge me with this statement. This constitution does not recognize any region. There is nothing region in this constitution. Any lawyer can challenge me to that. So you can't have a regional autonomy. The same thing with state police. Let me even ask you that watching me, have you ever heard any northerner talking about state police? They can't talk about it because federal police is in their favor. And for you to change from federal police to state police, you have to go to section 9 to do that. And section 9 is dependent on section 3, which makes you a political permanent minority. The same thing goes for people who are talking about owning their resources. You cannot own the resources in your land as long as this constitution is in existence. It must go down. And finally, let me say this. People make the mistake of saying this governor, that governor is the chief security officer. That is a lie. It is a pure lie. The chief security officer, according to this constitution, the chief security officer of a state is the commissioner of police. The constitution only recognizes the governor as the executive officer, not the chief security officer. There's a difference. The constitution says in section 215 that the governor cannot give any instruction to any police officer, and the police officer will obey it. The old police officer will have to go to the Inspector General of Police and the President to get approval. There is no governor in Nigeria that can license you to be able to own arms. But the police does that, and police reports to the federal government or the president. So the governor is never the chief security officer of a state. Why? Because of this constitution. And finally, again, the design, the building, and the maintenance of critical infrastructure will always be 100% in the hands of the federal government. Why? Because of this constitution. So if you want your government to invest and do your infrastructure, this constitution must go down. Now, after all this, the question now is, what is the solution? After explaining all this, the solution is that the lifespan of this constitution is always renewed by a general election. As long as there's a general election, this constitution lifespan is renewed. If we halt the election, then you terminate the life of this constitution. And that is where the solution is. We have to halt all preparations to the 2023 general election. How do we do that? We have to prevail on our politicians and the political parties to stop, close shop, all these collecting form, doing nominations and campaign. They should stop and let us have a transitioning body like South Africa did. And let me make this correction, because the other day I was reading something from a brother of mine who is a lawyer in Nigeria as well as in England. He was making a presentation. He said that Nina wants everything to come to a standstill. No, that is the wrong information. My dear barrister and brother, I know you'll be watching this. Nina is not saying that everything should come to a complete stop. No. In South Africa, between 1990 and 1994, governance was going on. The apartheid regime was still on governing, but CODESA was doing their work. So what we are saying is this: we have a transitioning body that will be working out modalities for referendum, while those in office right now will continue to stay in office until they finish everything, and then we conduct a referendum, regional referendums, to find out if these regions are still interested in becoming part of Nigeria. And then after that, other things will follow. And then when everything is concluded, those who want to federate will federate. Those who want to be on their own will be on their own. And then politics can go on. But in the meantime, those currently in power or in government should continue while this transitioning body is working. So my appeal, which is the final one, is that all of us in the Middle Belt and the southern part of Nigeria, we must halt this journey to 2023 election and insist that we emplace a transitioning body that will conduct regional referendum to find out the part of the regions or Nigeria that want to continue in union as Nigeria. This is my final appeal. Anything outside of this will spell disaster. And if you ignore this appeal and you still continue to go and do your politicking and conduct elections in 2023 because you have long throat, you want to go take one power or the other, I will be laughing at you at the end of the day. Thank you, everybody, and God bless you. Bye-bye for now.